Hello, everyone, and welcome to another installment of TED Excellence, the show in which I sing a song of sixpence with a pocket full of WTF. And I come to you live from my Corona bunker on the moon with Dogcat Fox, a Pepperjack, and all of you. Hello, everyone. Welcome again to Thursday. Trebled Thursday. Yes, back once again with the wonderful world of TEDx. For those of you that, for the sake of the historical record, I am recovering or in recovery from a major migraine from yesterday, and I thank all of you that wished me well since then. I am much better now. And it was actually the fact that I had that migraine that I decided to go with today's video. I'd been looking at a couple of options, but this one sounded the most ridiculous, and I thought, you know, I need a little bit of ridiculousness after the day I had yesterday, so that's why we're here. And why are we here? Well, we need to find out about the melodic racism, children's songs, and white supremacy. Oh boy, I will talk more about my thoughts on this before we start, but first, a few hellos to those of you who have decided to join me for this magical adventure. And who would you be? Why, Debatefly, hello. Hero Man V3, hello. Some Namnyon Nation, hello. John Miller, hello. Matt Barnes, hello. Jesse Green, 619. It's much more poetic if I say Jesse Green, 619. Tia Forix, hello. Keeverdam, hello. Hayden Titsy, hello. Hope I'm saying that right. Check Your Logic, hello. Jamie Melquist, hello. Viror of Ashmedai, hello. The Useless Rebel, hello. Zeke Weiss, hello. Megan Ring, hello. Gunfox61, hello. Mike Savage. Music? Where's my blarg? Swirl Blue, hello. Insulted 25, hello. Shelly Roberts, hello. The Magister, hello. Robert Pincus, hello. Roger Reynolds, hello. Austin P, hello. Well then. So, melodic racism. Oh, what can I imagine here? So, as always, wait, what's this? Happy birthday check. Whose happy birthday is it? Says Keeperdam. Did I miss something? Brad Young, hello. Now I'm watching the chat very intently, because if there's a birthday, I mean, I don't usually do birthdays on TED Excellence, but depending, I might make an exception. But before that, Check Your Logic. It's Check Your Logic's birthday. Oh. Gosh, I don't know. Should I sing Happy Birthday on TED Excellence? I don't usually do that. That'd be very rare. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Check Your Logic. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Check Your Logic. And even the police are singing your praises. There they go. A happy birthday siren just for you. Yes, so happy birthday. On to the subject of the video. So what I imagine we are going to hear, aside from, I hope, some kind of singing, is something to the effect of, did you know that this nursery rhyme has a dark history to it? For example, I think the most well-known one is Ring Around the Rosie, right? That song, Ring Around the Rosie. Yeah. Which all describes the events of the Black Plague. You know, not exactly a fun event, but the nursery rhyme that most people know sounds very whimsical. Okay, so I'm assuming we're going to hear the dark history of Rockabye Baby, where rockabye means leave a flaming cross on a black man's yard. And just as a note, in case she hears this, yes, I did just steal that from my sister Scribe, because I told her what I was going to do today, and she made that joke. And so I admit right here, right now, that I stole that joke. But I have given her credit, so it makes it all better. Yes. All right. Anyway, let's move on. Get your bingo cards ready. We are using bingo card C. C as in Cotton Eye Joe. If you'd like to participate in the voting on the bingo card, be sure to follow me on Twitter, because when I remember to do so on TED Excellence Days, I put up a poll for what bingo card we shall use. All that being said, I'll start off with a few seconds for a sound test. You tell me if you can hear this. This one clocks in at just under 10 minutes at 9 minutes, 19 seconds. And let's go. Whoa, dramatic.
Around 20 years ago.
Whoa, that is really clear. Dang, either I did an excellent job in getting the sound to kick up, or this is an amazingly well-produced TEDx. Insofar as the audio is concerned. You guys hear that okay? Let me know in the chat. Let's see. John Miller says, can't wait for Baba Black Sheep. Yeah, there's that. Yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping we hear something like, Itsy Bitsy Spider has some evil origin and how this is secretly indoctrinating your kids into racism. Anyway, all right. Everybody says sounds good? Sounds good.
I was teaching a song.
Okay.
It was a song I commonly taught. The words lent themselves well to movement that the students enjoyed.
Okay.
And the tune, it was a catchy tune, the kind that stays with you long after you have sung and played. For most of my adult life, I have been a music teacher.
Okay, so just so we get a level set here, she is a music teacher by profession. All right, and there is a single song, at least so far, one example, where she sings to her students or teaches her kids that is, very useful. Okay. All right.
I have sung songs, played games, and instructed children in how to make music, understand music, read and write music.
Okay.
For about 10 years, I taught at the elementary level, working mostly with kids in kindergarten through 5th grade.
Okay.
Like many of my colleagues, I believed in the importance of using folk songs in my classroom.
Oh, well, now there was your first mistake. Because where do folk songs come from? Folk history. And they probably have scary things in there and stuff. And I'm sure that whatever you sang to them told them how to be racist. I honestly cannot wait to hear how singing a folk song, which is more likely than not completely out of context of its historical origins, is thus imparting onto children an ideology of racial supremacy. I'm dying to hear this one.
I currently teach at the university level.
Uh-oh.
I'm what's known as a music teacher educator, which basically means I teach students in college who want to become music teachers.
Okay, so you're a music teacher. Okay.
My specialty is elementary general music. I share my background with you today because...
Because you need to lend some kind of credibility to your argument? I'm just guessing.
It's what has shaped me and defined me, and it's what has brought me to this stage. So back to that song.
Yes.
I was teaching the song to a group of 3rd graders.
Okay.
When something unexpected happened.
Let me guess. You suddenly realize that you're a white supremacist?
Something dawned on me.
Uh-oh.
I cannot definitively say why that day, why that moment. But what I can say is that it opened my eyes.
Yeah.
And it put me on a path that I have followed ever since.
Oh my gosh, this sounds so dramatic and so life-changing. What could have possibly happened?
The song goes like this. Da, 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 da.
Okay, I'm going to be breaking this up here and there just on the very off chance that somehow this is a copyrighted song or something. I don't know, but okay. Da, 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 da.
Bum, ba, ba, da, 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 dum.
Wow, I can I can just smell the white supremacy in that, can't you?
For some, you might recognize the tune.
With that rendition, I honestly say I cannot recognize it. Granted, I even know what song it is, so no.
The words might have just popped into your head.
Nope.
In case you don't know what the song is,
yes.
The words describe picking cotton.
Of course they do.
Yep. Jump down, turn around, pick a bale of cotton.
Okay, and Not being facetious here. I am trying to search my memory if I have ever heard that song before. And admittedly, I grew up in the Northwest, more or less. And maybe this is a folk song from the South by any chance. So,
Jump down, turn around, pickability.
Right. So this, of all the nursery rhymes, you're talking about one that specifically describes slavery. Okay. Well, you know what? I'll grant you that. What about that song promotes white supremacy?
Now, you may be wondering, in this day and age, why anyone would think that that song was appropriate.
Why it was appropriate? Well, out of context, it's completely benign. I mean, yeah, I suppose it's like, well, once you know the history of this song, it's probably not that positive a thing. I'm like, all right. But really, I got to ask. I really, really have to ask. Because this is about to hit you on the bingo card. That it wasn't until some untold number of years into your career as a music teacher in singing this particular song that it dawned on you that it referred to slavery or referred to anything of a negative nature of history. I'll just put it that way. Okay, well, because of that anecdote, which I completely do not believe, I'm going to the bingo card. Free space, circling that one. Anecdote that probably never happened, circling that one. It is difficult for me to believe that all of a sudden, as a teacher, having taught this song to children for years, all of a sudden you're like, maybe this is out of place. Now, it can be argued whether it's out of place or somehow harmful to children or something, or if you don't give them context, yada, yada, yada. But just as a song, it's a song, whatever. Anyway, moving on.
Excellent question. Never in my experience had anyone questioned whether or not it was appropriate to sing a song about picking cotton.
Okay, again, the act of picking cotton, all by its lonesome, out of context, is not inherently bad. Okay? It isn't. I mean, the fact that you decided to think immediately of slavery in the activity, well, that's on you. But the song does not say anything about slavery. Now, I don't know the song's origins. Maybe it was a song sung by slaves picking cotton. Could be. And if that bothers you, well, here's a thought. Don't sing it. But okay, you felt uncomfortable after however many years of singing it. You suddenly realized, oh, this might refer to cotton picking slaves. Okay. And then?
It was a way of life. It was an occupation.
Yeah.
It appeared in countless folk song collections, especially collections geared towards elementary general music teaching.
I honestly cannot say I've ever heard that song. I mean, it has that sort of like sing-songy rhythm that is familiar as a nursery rhyme and that kind of thing. But personally, I don't think I've ever even heard that song. So again, maybe it's more well-known in different regions in the country or something. I've never heard of it.
Including one by someone who I would consider a member of the U.S. royal family of folk music, Ruth Crawford Seeger.
Okay. So does that make her a racist then?
And it was also a great song for teaching kids how to read and write music.
Okay. And so it served a good purpose, even if it was of a content that you now disagree with. And there are no other songs that you as a teacher would feel comfortable using as teaching tools. Only these songs. Just don't sing them if you don't like them.
It seemed to check all the boxes. No one had challenged it.
Challenged what? What's to challenge? And now the police are on their way again. Boy, I'm just having a busy day over here with the police. Sing me the song of your people. Oh, can you hear it? Oh, that'd be a great teaching tool, wouldn't it? Whee! Anyway, sorry. Real life. Okay, so you don't like certain songs to sing. Nobody challenged it. Why didn't you? Huh? All of a sudden you decided to become righteous about it, even though you've been singing it to kids for years. You know, does that mean you've been like training children to be racists all those years you were a music teacher and singing that song and not bothering to notice what the lyrics were dealing with? Okay.
But that day I did.
Oh, that day.
In a small and frankly imperceptible way. I finally heard what my students were singing.
I do not believe you. I do not believe you. That it may a grown adult just okay. I'm repeating myself at this point, but she's really digging it in.
I finally saw as they were jumping down, turning around, pretending to pick cotton. I saw that this song was glorifying something that had historically been done in this country by people who were forcibly brought here. Right.
You decided to interpret it on your own as being something bad. Right? I mean, certainly, it may be, I don't know the origin of the song. Maybe it is referring to slave times and slavery. Maybe it is. Okay. All right. What does that mean to children? Like elementary school children, little kids that you are teaching basic music theory to in a song that just mentions a physical activity. But all right, you don't like it. You suddenly realized one day, oh my gosh, this might refer to slavery. Well, then don't sing it.
By people who were slaves.
Yeah,
I stopped the students. I told them we were moving on to a different activity. And I never taught the song again.
Thank you for coming to this TED Excellence. Everything's over with. She turned off the TV. Well, good for her. Well, gosh. And what harm was done to those children? Glorifying slavery. That's what was happening in that classroom? That's what you were doing the whole time? Okay, well, if you say so. I mean, I'm taking your word for it. By your perspective, the entire time you taught that song, you were glorifying slavery. And as a consequence of that, I'm going to circle self-vilification or wretchedness, because that's kind of what she's doing here.
Fast forward to about 5 years ago.
Fast forward from, did she say how long? Wait, did she just, 20 years ago, right? She said 20 years ago? Okay, so 20 years ago, you suddenly realized that song may refer to slavery in your own projection, and you stopped teaching it. Okay, so 20 years ago that happened. 5 years ago. So for 15 years, you didn't teach that song. Okay, until whatever we're about to get to. All right.
I had eliminated Pecoraro from my collection.
Yes.
But I hadn't confronted the reality of some of my other songs.
Oh, Lord, do tell.
And this is when someone posted in a Facebook forum for music teachers.
Oh, well, there was your first mistake.
About a different song.
Oh.
Jump, Jim, Joe.
Jump, Jim, Joe. Okay, again, either these are songs that are just so obscure as to almost never appear in school or something, or I've just lived in a bubble where those songs were never taught to me. I've never heard of that song before. But if you if you hum a few bars, maybe I'll recognize it. Boy, that didn't come out well.
Now, Jump, Jim, Joe is a very popular song in early elementary music classrooms, kindergarten through second grade.
Okay, in your school district, I guess.
The words lend themselves well to movement. The tune is catchy and stays with you. And it is a great song for teaching kids how to read and write music.
All right, chat, and I'll ask this question again when we get to the end of the presentation because I want to keep going. But I'm going to ask you guys, have you ever heard of these songs? As she goes through these songs, I would just like to know, at any point in your childhood where you taught these songs, any one of them or more, because I can't say so far that I have. It just seems very, very rare to me. But then again, I don't know.
Sounds familiar. However, Jump Jim Joe was originally Jump Jim Crow and
Oh,
was a song that came out of the minstrel period in the United States.
so somebody changed the lyrics of the song to make it more palatable. So when you're singing the song that you knew, you weren't actually talking about Jim Crow. Okay.
This song was actually back to probably around 1830.
Uh-huh.
The song was made popular, and the character of Jim Crow was made popular by a man named Thomas Dartmouth Rice.
Okay.
Rice was a white man who was a
Uh-huh.
carpenter, became an actor and a minstrel performer.
And all of this information is relevant to kindergartners. Why?
Rice performed the character of Jim Crow in blackface.
Uh-huh.
And he was quoted as saying that he designed the character in an effort to make people believe that blacks were better off in slavery and that they were inferior.
Wow, an entertainer from the 1800s was a racist? Golly gee whiz, Batman.
So now imagine your kindergartner, a young black child, comes home from school
Uh-huh.
happily singing Jump Jim Joe.
Uh-huh.
But you, as the parent, you know that the song was originally Jump Jim Crow.
Oh, well, now you have to sue the school.
This is exactly what happened that caused that Facebook post that I mentioned.
Oh, okay. So a parent got offended that their child was taught a song that has a historical origin of bad stuff. Okay. Well, more power to him, I guess. Maybe if my kid was taught a song that had some kind of terrible connotation, I might not want that song taught either. That's entirely possible. Okay. All right. So what happened? What happened next? What did the parent do, and or what did the teacher do? What did the school do?
The parent was a university professor
Uh-oh.
who had just taught a class covering Jim Crow.
What a coincidence.
The parent reached out to the music teacher to express their concern and to teach the teacher about the song.
The song whose lyrics were changed to not refer back to that thing at all, but okay, whatever.
The music teacher turned to Facebook to get advice from other music teachers.
Why? I mean, why not just be pragmatic and say, oh, well, in order to avoid any misunderstandings like this in the future, I'll just nix that from the curriculum. It's not like it's a valuable piece of Americana or something, so who cares? She needed help from Facebook teachers or Facebook music teachers. Why?
The responses were varied. Some people said, we need to eliminate this song. There's no place for this song in our curriculum.
Okay.
Other teachers said, its pedagogical value far outweighs any other issue. And besides, we're not teaching the history.
It's true. You're not teaching the history. The history is irrelevant to kindergartners. I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence. It's just like, which would be the lesser of the headaches, in my opinion. Whatever.
And yet others said, we've changed the words. What's the big deal?
Uh-oh, I'm one of those people.
No harm, no foul.
I am ashamed now. I'm ashamed. I'm so ashamed. All right, let's go to the bingo card real quick since we're a little bit over halfway through this thing and check out. Plays victim. She hasn't played the victim yet. She's played the savior. The self-vilified and wretched savior, but the savior all the same. Leaves out vital context. Well, I already circled anecdote that probably never happened, so it's kind of hard to say leaves out vital context. Yeah, nothing clicks on me so far on that one. Weightless example. I mean, so far, most of her examples are weightless, but nothing. I'm going to give it some more time. Benevolent condescension. Yeah, talking down to us like, oh my God, these songs are so terrible. They need to be taken out of the curriculum. Kids are just being Ruined, yeah, whatever. Feminism, no. Childhood or family anecdote, she hasn't talked about her childhood or her family. Privilege, no. She hasn't brought up the term yet. Nothing in particular yet. Sales pitch for product or service. Again, her simply saying what she does for a living is not necessarily a sales pitch until she says something like, I have a music book for teachers or for music teachers to use or something like that. And sit on that one. Microaggressions, unconscious bias. Yeah, microaggressions, unconscious bias. I'm pretty sure that at least we can infer that they changed the word so there's no problem. Well, or stuff like that. Patriarchy, no. Wage gap, no. Mind reading assumes motives. I'll wait for a more direct example. I could probably circle it just on aggregate. Attempt to coin new buzzword, buzz phrase, no. Word salad. Yeah, she went through all that stuff at the beginning. I'm going to circle that one. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, not yet. Marginalized, marginalization, not yet. Contradicts own point or argument. Well, her argument is these songs have a terrible origin and therefore should not be sung in school. I haven't heard her contradict that yet. Not particularly. Systemic, institutional. Well, kind of. I mean, curriculum. Yeah, I'll circle that one. Schools, curriculum, so on. Yeah. A list. Well, she has to give us one more example because she's given us one song. She's given us a second song. If she gives us a third song that's evil, I'll consider that a list. If she doesn't give us something more specific, first off. White supremacy. Now, you might say, and this is, I've covered this in the past, you might say, Scribe, it's in the title. Circle it obviously. No. See, because I have learned from long experience that the titles of the videos on the TEDx page are not necessarily those of the actual presentation. Things have to be contained within the presentation itself. And so far, she hasn't said the phrase. We'll get there probably. So the title of the video does not a bingo card square fill necessarily. So make something about race, sex, etc. for no reason. She has a reason for bringing up the subject, so I can't circle that one. And collectivize his own demographic. I mean, music teachers, kind of. I'll let it sit until she says we as music teachers or something to that effect. All right, so far I have circled anecdote that probably never happened, benevolent condescension, self-vilification or wretchedness, microaggressions, unconscious bias, free space, word salad, and systemic institutional. Let's go.
Now, granted, Jump Jim Joe is not as explicit as Pick a Bale of Cotton, but it is just, if not more, problematic.
Oh, it's more problematic. How so?
And herein lies the problem.
Okay.
We can't just change the words and rationalize the song's use based on pedagogical reasons and expect people to just forget the history.
Why not? And if they don't, okay. I mean, if you change the words, so any song that has a connection to some terrible event in the past, at least in your case, anything that has to do with slavery. I mean, so far you're not talking about things like, war, or disease. You're not saying that Ring Around the Rosie shouldn't be taught anymore, right? Because Ring Around the Rosie, if you want to talk about a song that has, so some basic rhythm to it and also implies some sort of physical action and such, Ring Around the Rosie, I remember Ring Around the Rosie, pocket full of posies, so you run around in a circle and then you all fall down. It's a very physical song for little kids. Okay, well, it refers to the Black Plague, where, what was it? Some ridiculous percentage of the Earth's population died because of disease. Okay, should we not teach that anymore? Or are you just focused on slavery? I mean, what is the rule here? Song refers to something bad. Are the songs also not a part of the history, whether you like it or not? Okay, maybe you don't want to teach it to kids. Fine. Should the existence of the songs just be eliminated? What are you going for here?
We just can't do that.
Yeah, you can. You did for years. What harm did you cause? Okay, so the cotton picking song you taught for years. And one day you suddenly realize, golly, this might refer to slavery times. Okay, so you tell us, catalog for us all the harm you caused, all the evil thoughts you put into your students by singing that song. You must know. I mean, now on reflection, you must have an idea, right?
When I was a music teacher,
I thought you still were a music teacher.
my primary goal was to teach my elementary students how to read and write music,
Yes.
to become notationally literate.
Yes.
The 5 lines on the staff, the spaces, the notes, the
Yes.
clefs, all of that.
Did you fail in that endeavor?
The songs I used were chosen because I believed that folk songs could help create community and could help my students learn to become notationally literate.
Okay, and did you fail in that endeavor?
Now, what does this matter?
Yeah, that is a very good question. Why does this matter? Why does this matter? You know, because when I learned at a later date in my life that Ring Around the Rosie referred to the Black Plague, I found it really interesting. I hadn't thought of it that way before. You know, but I didn't suddenly go like, golly gee whiz, I was celebrating the Black Plague. Better go out and get infected. That's not exactly how that works. Unless that's how that works in your world.
With regard to songs with a racist past. It matters because it helps us better understand why this issue persists.
This issue. What is this issue?
When music teachers like myself
music teachers like myself. Collectivize his own demographic. Circle in that one on the bingo card.
teach music through a single lens, such as to read and write music, we often forget about things that make music so vital in our society.
And yet you want to eliminate these songs from being taught because they tell a story, you know.
Yes, learning those skills is important.
Oh, Keeverdam says a list. And yes, she did list off all the elements that she wished to teach or get across to her students through the song. So, excuse me, circling a list on the bingo card. Thank you, Keeverdam.
But the history and experience behind the songs and materials we use is also very important.
Uh-huh.
There are many problematic songs out there.
Well, I guess we better just get rid of them all. For any reason, I find this problematic. Okay, well, let's not talk about it anymore. Let's pretend it doesn't exist. Okay, so is it your job now to police all songs that you find problematic? Anything that refers to anything in the past? Are you going to bring up the Star-Spangled Banner? Oh, please bring up the national anthem.
And it is our responsibility to take the time, do the research, and determine whether or not those songs are appropriate for our classrooms and for our communities.
Okay, well, as the teacher of a classroom, yes, to whatever extent the school district or board or local laws allow you to, yes, it is your job to set the curriculum. And so whatever leeway you have to teach the songs you want to teach, sure. If you want to make it your responsibility to find the evil origin of every song you might possibly teach kids to make sure you're not teaching kids anything that might refer to anything terrible, even though a lot of nursery rhymes kind of rely on that, Rockabye Baby. That's a pretty violent song if you think about the lyrics. But anyway, sure. If you don't want to teach a song and it is your classroom, you have every right not to teach it. Certainly. Okay, I'm right on board with you.
There's a difference between canceling and holding accountable.
I want to eliminate this song from the repertoire. I'm actually holding it accountable. What damage have you done? What sonic destruction have you imparted upon your students over the years by singing the Cotton Song? I want to hear. I want to hear you become accountable for the damage you've done by your own theory. So tell me, how have you held yourself accountable for being so evil, completely unknowingly and unintentionally? Because
when we look at the songs that we assume are okay because we were previously taught them, we will sometimes find that they're not.
Okay, and what harm did these songs do you? I guess that's the question. If you are the living embodiment of the guinea pig who had received these songs from your past, well, what did receiving those songs do to you? What harm did they cause? Did you, as a child, sing the Cotton Song and then as an adult go like, well, slavery's good? Is that what happened? Because if it didn't happen that way, what is the problem?
And that holds us accountable. When we look beyond the notation, when we look at the history, the politics, the culture, the society from which these songs and so many others came,
they become completely boring. And none of that information is relevant to the tune. And unless the song is actively promoting something terrible to children, I have been accused in my time of overanalyzing things. And this is where I'd be staring at the camera for a moment in a fourth wall breaking motion if I was doing a TV show or movie, as I'm watching a TEDx and commentating on it. But this seems almost pathological. If you're really that paranoid about every song you might possibly teach children. I mean, if that's your thing, that's your thing, I guess. But are you going to do this for every song? Again, Ring Around the Rosie, Black Plague, something terrible. Are you celebrating massive death and destruction by singing Ring Around the Rosie? What harm are you doing children by doing so? Where does your theory go next? How many songs? Which songs need to be policed for their damaging content? Thank you, Redneck Ram. Hey, Scribe, watching from the beginning. I'm from the South, born and raised, still live out in the country, too. No, I've never heard her opening folk song. Okay. And again, Redneck Ram, just like all of us, we're all individuals with our own individual experiences. I mean, maybe this is really popular somewhere. I don't know. I'd never heard it before. Again, it has a sort of familiar thing to it because it's kind of a nursery rhyme, kind of a kid's song kind of deal. But so far as I can tell, I'd never heard it. But Redneck Ram, he's at least a cultural expert you can trust by his name. Thank you, Ram. Okay, only a couple minutes left.
we actually open up music in a much more inclusive way.
Oh! Inclusion, diversity, equity, inclusion on the board. So a much more inclusive way by eliminating songs from your repertoire. Okay, by denying that there is a history to certain songs that may be quote unquote problematic or unpleasant, you just can't sing them. Not allowed to. Or else what? What is the consequence of having done this? What did singing those songs as a child do to you? If singing those songs as a child celebrated or imparted upon children a racist attitude, why are you now so paranoid about it? What is the harm being caused?
So is there a place in our curricula for songs with a racist past?
Sure. American history. How about that? When kids get up to like junior high school, if you want to prevent them from hearing the evil overtones of picking cotton or Jump Jim Joe or whatever until they're old enough to understand the history and the context and all that, I still think it's nanny state material, but sure, okay, fine. Because as far as I can tell, no harm was done singing the songs to them as children. You are a result of that. Consequently, no harm will be done to them by not singing the songs to them. So it seems like a complete push to me, but whatever. This is Kyle. Thanks so much. I thought she was a music teacher, not a history teacher. Just another example of an activist trying to make everyone share her moral outrage. Yeah, kind of. Also, again, the unbelievable notion that she just suddenly realized that a song about cotton picking may refer to slavery. You know, absent any other context for small children who don't know the difference, but yeah. And here's the other thing. Throughout all her years of being a music teacher and teaching that song, she never had the experience of some parent coming and saying, excuse me, did you know that that song refers to XYZ PDQ? So one Facebook post and suddenly everything falls apart? All right.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. What was the question she was asking herself and answering? Sorry.
Open up music in a much more inclusive way. So is there a place in our curricula for songs with a racist past? Yes.
Uh-huh.
But
But
should we sing, play, and dance? Well,
I'm guessing you're going to say no.
Play and dance while we're teaching these songs?
Teaching the song and teaching the history are two different things, but okay, you don't want to sing them, you don't have to sing them. Nobody is making you do this. Society is not making you do this. There is no mandate from on high that you sing the cotton song.
No. If we choose to use these songs, we choose to use them as a tool to teach about history and experience.
History and experience. Okay, all right, fine. Relegate them to the history class. Fine. You don't have to sing them. Nobody's making you to. Making you to? Making you do so. That's what I meant. Thank you, John Miller. So she basically wants the world to be more boring. I don't know. Like, okay, up until she told me these songs existed, I didn't know they existed. I've lived my entire life completely absent of the knowledge of these specific songs. And somehow, I'm still here. My life is what it is. Nothing has happened. And now that I've heard them, or at least, had them renditioned to me partially or just by lyrics, nothing has changed except my bewilderment over this lady's paranoia, which I think is all I've really gained from this so far.
Not as an easy way to teach notational literacy.
That is your biggest concern. How to teach notational literacy. Okay, so that's where you come down on the whole judgment thing. All right? As a music teacher, you're attempting to teach children the very basics of musical structure. Don't use these songs, they refer to bad things. Anybody who uses these songs to teach musical structure is a bad person, because nobody's calling this out for what it is. That's it? What is the harm? Aside from a professor being upset because a professor had a notion of that song's origin because they were far more educated in the subject relating to it, whereas prior to that, that teacher had never had a problem. Prior to you having your revelation, you never had a complaint. And what harm was caused? Are those kids dancing around and celebrating the Black Plague? Is that what they are doing? Is that the notion you are imparting upon them? Because it's the exact same theory.
We need to find the songs that will help us create socially just pathways to the musical experience in our classrooms.
So those songs were doing the opposite of that. You are not socially just. You grew up with those songs. Therefore, you must have grown up into a socially unjust individual. And man, my pause game is on point here. Look at that face. Look at that serious, I'm being serious face. I'm being serious, guys. Are those kids not friends? Did they not have fun dancing around and singing together? Was there anything about that song that said, hey, if you see that kid over there and they look different from you, you need to hate them? Anything in your curriculum do that? Was that the result of your own growing up? Was that the result of your own curriculum? Like I said, you don't want to sing the song? Don't sing the song. There's no law saying you have to. I mean, there are plenty of folk songs out there that have been forgotten to the ages. And if you want this one to be forgotten as well, okay, fine. You know, it'll be written down somewhere and it'll come up when it comes up, but it's not a necessary factor in children's growing up that they sing these songs. So do what you will, but don't pretend like you've got some kind of moral high ground or anybody teaching these songs. If I don't know the history of the song, right, if I am completely unaware and the words have been changed to take it completely out of the context of its original rendition, and I teach it to kids of all types because it's a fun song, it's got a catchy tune, and it teaches some basics about singing and or dancing, whatever. Am I a horrible person? Is that the judgment you are passing upon me? Were I a music teacher who just thought it was a cute song? And if a parent came to me and said, I'm not comfortable with that song being sung to my child because of this, 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 and this, you know what? I might then stop singing the song. Because A, I don't want the headache. B, it's not a necessary part of the curriculum. I can find other songs. And C, why not? Nobody's making me.
Not songs that continue to perpetuate the violence and inequity of white supremacy.
Up, white supremacy on the board. Going to the bingo card. White supremacy. And by the way, those songs don't do that unless you make them because you are.
And systemic racism.
Systemic racism. Okay, I already circled systemic institutional. So, okay, so the Cotton Song instilled in you white supremacy and racism. So prior to your revelation of understanding that maybe this song refers to something bad in history as a grown adult 20 years ago, you are or were a racist and you're a white supremacist. Is that what I'm doing? You were teaching kids to be white supremacists for years. Okay.
We cannot simply change the words and ignore the past. Because when we do, we are doomed to repeat it.
Oh, good Christ. Yeah. Okay, so Jim Crow laws are coming back. All right? Because that song from the 1800s in some portion of the country somewhere has been sung by people into students' minds. We're going to return to Jim Crow. We're going to overturn the Civil Rights Act completely and return to Jim Crow laws. Okay. Ring Around the Posy portends the next Black Plague. Oh my God. Bubonic plague is coming back, guys. Ring Around the Rosie is still sung by children. It will invoke the plague demon and bring back disease. I mean, by that theory, that's what I have to assume is going to happen. Okay, music teacher, music activist, I don't know, whatever. Let's move on to the bingo card. Let me get this all lined up a little bit into the window. And yeah, I would be curious to know from you guys in the chat, and I'll look at here in a second. Had you heard of any of these songs before where you are? Did you sing them at all when you were a child? Because like I say, I'd never heard of them. But again, maybe that's just me. All right, let's look at the card real quick. Plays victim. Again, she was coming across as the wise and enlightened savior. She didn't sound like she was playing victim. Leaves out vital context. There's got to be something in there. Well, to me, I mean, again, if the idea is that bad songs can't be sung because they are bad from their origins, why just stick to racism? Are there no songs about war or songs about other kinds of violence? It's just racism. I don't know if that's a leaves out vital context, but it just seems like more of an incomplete argument. Weightless example. The whole thing, honestly. The Cotton song as a particular one. Like, really? So you taught this for years, never had a problem. One day you woke up. Actually, in fact, all the examples are weightless to me because she has not and did not describe what the danger was. And unless you want to count at the very end, it's like we're doomed to repeat them. Like, how? How does that work? Tell me how the Cotton song is going to bring back slavery in America. Tell me. I mean, you say it will. How? And if it does, haven't you contributed to it? So circling weightless example because her argument, she never proved her argument or even offered even a thin justification for her argument. Feminism, no. Childhood or family anecdote, she never talked about her own. Well, wait, no, she did. She talked about how she heard these songs when she was growing up. That's right. She did do that. Right? Yeah, she talked about how, yeah, of course she did, because I said so. Well, you know. Would you believe I clicked the wrong button? Oh, Lordy. Lordy. Let's try that again, shall we? Okay, I'm back. What I meant to do, if I'd been smart about it, was this.
Bingo.
What? Of course!
I was so excited. To get that bingo going that I clicked refresh on the wrong tab because I wanted the bingo card to be refreshed, but I refreshed the control panel page and there we are. So anyway, our first bingo. Let's continue and hope I don't do that again. Let's see. Privilege. Oh, she never did use the word. Now, you could say, oh, well, she talked about white supremacy. Obviously, she's talking about white privilege. I'm not sure she touched upon even an abstract notion of that to begin with. If anybody wants to make an argument, you're going to have to make an argument because, yeah. Sales pitch for product or service. Well, you could say, well, she talked about Facebook. Like, nah, no. She didn't say, I have a songbook of approved songs or something like that, or I have an organization that filters song. No, she talked about her job, and that's not a sales pitch for product or service. So I'm not going to circle that one. Someday we'll get that one because there's plenty of TEDx's that do that. Patriarchy, no. Wage gap, no. Mind reading assumes motives. Well, she sure was coming down very judgmental on anybody who decides to sing these songs because you can't sing them. You're not allowed to. And that judgy look on anybody who does makes you an obvious racist or racial promoter or something. Thank you, Mr. Tickletrunk, for the smiley happy Dogcat Fox. Oh, Dogcat Fox. Wowie, wow, wow. How you doing, Dogcat Fox? How's it going?
Wowie, wow, wow.
That's right. Dogcat Fox. As sung to us by Weebo Jones. Thank you, Mr. Tickletrunk. Let's see. So, where were we? Marginalize the attempts to coin new buzzword, buzz phrase, right? Marginalize, marginalization. Well, kind of. Okay. The only argument I'd make is that the story about the Facebook thing or the professor said, I don't want this taught because it. Think about that one for a second. Thank you, John Miller. She used 2 obscure songs. I feel robbed, hoping to hear how real kids' songs are racist. I am amazed that, at least as a parallel example of a happy song having a dark history, she didn't bring up Ring Around the Rosie. That just seems like the most natural one. Like, think about Ring Around the Rosie. As many people know, this refers to this. Well, did you know? And that would seem like an easy segue. Because I think and correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's relatively well known what that song refers to. I think. Maybe I'm on the flip side of this whole thing where I know that song better than I know these other songs, but yeah, that didn't make any sense to me. Thank you, John Miller. Let's see, marginalization contradicts own point or argument. Well, she never made an argument. I mean, this is the thing. She never. Okay. So, in fact, I'm going to just sort of hand wave and circle that one because honestly, unless you actually describe the problem you are attempting to solve, you don't have an argument. Right? She never said, because these songs are taught, this happens. And that whole abstract, we're doomed to repeat history thing doesn't wash with me. It just doesn't. You have to give more details than that. You can't just say that and like, oh, it is going to happen. This is the way. No. You have to give some effect that you caused. You want people to be held accountable for these things? Accountable to what end? What happened? What happened to these children as a result of singing these songs? Thank you. This is Kyle. So by this lady's logic, sea shanties are going to bring back high seas piracy. We can only hope. Wait a second. Wait. Didn't you see Captain Phillips? Don't you know about all the Somali pirates and everything? It already has. Oh my gosh. Maybe there's some truth to this. Maybe by singing these songs, we conjure these things into existence. Oh, man. Now I need to come up with a song about a very attractive redhead that just happens to walk to my door. Yes. Let's see. So marginalization. I mean, that is at least part. It is the implied part of the threat that she was talking about, right? The whole inclusive thing, because if we sing these songs, we're not including people. So conceivably then, ipso facto, kids are being marginalized as a result of these songs, even though she never really came out and got more specific about, okay, give me an example. But okay, so we'll give her that one. And lastly, make something about race, sex, etc. for no reason. She had a reason. I mean, and as far as I can tell, the 2 songs she brought up, if you dig back far enough in history and by her own research, sure, they refer to or have connections with the historical racism of the United States. Okay, so she had a reason. So that's where I'm at on the card. If you guys have any arguments for squares to be circled, put them in the chat now. Please be sure to tag me as an @scribelite in your comments so I know that it's for me, because I do know and I do appreciate that you guys talk amongst yourselves as well. But in waiting for those, Data Wasteland, what about dirty limericks? What do they do to you? Well, they make you a well-rounded adult with a sense of humor, I think. Let's see. Whoops. You can. Okay. Mike Savage, make something about race, sex, etc. I cannot fathom a reason. Scribelight, it just didn't click with me. Would that count? No. You see, just the fact that those 2 songs she did bring up, without a doubt, I don't have any doubts that both those songs, and by the history she gave of the second one, in and of themselves have a connection to racism, slavery, and so on. So her bringing up racism in the talk is not a non sequitur. If she had brought up sexism all of a sudden and not given any grounding to it, that would be. Okay, so whatever these make something about blah for no reason, it has to be a non sequitur. It has to be a subject they bring up, but give no other context to why they brought it up in their talk. And, like it or not, as far as I can tell, unless somebody's got an argument otherwise, everything she talked about insofar as like bringing up race, there was a reason to it. So, Let's see. Zizi Edururi. I just looked. Pick a Bale of Cotton is on YouTube, and the singer is black. I'm sure it's some kind of internalized racism. Or maybe the only people that can legitimately sing the song, or I don't know. Let's see. Well, Cannibalistic Wizard says, shouldn't be in her job. She's a music teacher, and she's talking about problems, which is math, not music. Well, yeah, we used to have a square on the bingo card, for those of you who are relatively new to the channel, that was like, should not be in their current profession or something like that. That square became so subjective that I had to take it off because I kept, struggling over whether or not it applied. Let's see. Well, I don't see any arguments for other squares to be circled. I'll give it another minute here. So we have left plays victim, leaves out vital context, feminism, privilege, sales pitch for product or service, patriarchy, wage gap, attempt to coin new buzzword, buzz phrase, and make something about race, sex, etc. for no reason. Leucotorix. Trying to make sure I pronounce these things as best as I can. Pick a Bale of Cotton is a work song written by black people and is about how terrible their work was, therefore it leaves out vital context. Oh. Well, now that is an argument I can get behind. So it was so as far as I can tell, then it was sort of like a satirical song, more or less. It was sort of a cynical little tune they would sing. Okay. All right. Well, there you go. Well, thank you, Leucotorix. Good one. Okay. Well, we're getting down to the nitty gritty now. If anybody's got any more arguments for squares to be circled, be sure to put them in the chat now. Assassin of the Gray. Hashtag scribe ignores me. What did I miss? Gunfox61 and dangerous. Scribe-light, mind reading assumes. I already circled mind reading assumes motives. That was circled earlier. It's right here. So I mean, I didn't ignore you in that sense, but I mean, I'd already done it. Mr. Tickletrunk, Scribe-light, wait a minute. Is she a witch talking to the coven about musical spells that alter reality, or is she just nuts? I don't know. She seems to think that singing Pick a Bale of Cotton or Jump Jim Joe, if left unattended in the minds of kindergartners, is going to bring back slavery, plantation slavery, and Jim Crow laws. I mean, that was conceivably her argument, but it really wasn't. So, yeah. Cannibalistic Wizard. If it'll come up here. Why is there a delay? Wage gap. Slaves didn't get paid as much as free people picking cotton. Oh, that, and it's not a bingo square, so good call. All right. Slavery in and of itself kind of does refer to a wage gap. Okay, you got me. You got me on that one. All right. Any others, guys? I'm going to wrap up here in just a second because I need to go do some other stuff. Let's see. Assassin the Gray might have been eaten by YouTube's automatic word phrasing matching. That's also possible. Given the subject matter of this talk, and depending on what you say in your chat, it's entirely possible that YouTube is, yanking those away, and I just can't see them. I don't know, but that could be a possibility. And Bridget. See, I'm just going to take away that little unique opener that I had for you because now you've corrected me so clearly, Bridget. A lot of older folk songs or working songs are warnings about things like the plague. Sea shanties are the epitome of this. To be fair, I wouldn't mind teaching sea shanties in school. Yeah. I mean, like a lot of fairy tales. I mean, fairy tales were warnings. They were lessons to children most of the time. You know, don't trust strangers. Don't go out alone. Stay away from animals. You know, that kind of stuff. I mean, you are teaching children something. You know, and if you want to teach them the evil history of these things, well, okay. If you don't want to sing the songs, well, okay. I mean, if she had been making this presentation because her school district mandated that these songs be sung, well, then I might be on board with her. You know, insofar as she's not being given control of her curriculum and the school's making her do something and she's not comfortable with it and or the parents aren't comfortable, whatever. Okay, fine. Insofar as songs go, okay. I don't really care. But at the same time, yeah, there are lessons in songs. That's how stories are told. That's how things are passed down one to another and so on. And just because you sing a song doesn't make you a promoter of the subject matter. You know, unless it's a song for like a nation or something. It all depends on context. Assassin of the Grey, Scribelight, leaves out vital context. The Irish pick cotton too, but they rarely survive to the end of their indentured servitude. Okay, well, if that's what you'd said earlier, I didn't see it, but now I have, so there you go. But we already circled leaves out vital context, so I got you covered. Got you covered. All right, well, with that, guys, I think I'm going to call it there. We came close to a couple of bingos, but I think we got all the bases covered that we can cover with this one. We did get a bingo, so not completely worthless. But this presentation sure felt like it was. What did we learn? That this lady is very paranoid about the song she sings, but only became paranoid out of the blue one day when she realized that a song about cotton picking might refer to plantation slavery. Duh. So there you go. One last thing from Zizi Atawari. She's probably embarrassed she picked those songs herself and that professor got pissed. This was a begging for forgiveness. This was a confession. This was a confession to cover her racially moralistic behind. That's all this was. She got up on a stage and spent the entire time confessing her sins and promising to do better. That's it. That's all this was. So, wait a sec. What? And I missed the whole thing because Scribbles marked this a little too spontaneously. What? You're talking about the show? Because this is the same time I broadcast every week. Unless you're talking about something else. Okay. Noon Pacific time on Thursdays. Every week. That's you schedule it. If I don't do it for some reason, I will broadcast as much as I can on Twitter. But noon Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern, every Thursday. If that wasn't clear before, just so you know. But even if you missed it, it's still here for you when it's done. But thank you, Mr. Tickletrunk. In case anybody didn't realize that. Yes, I didn't know there was a set schedule. Okay. Well, in case it was ever unclear, Thursday, noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, for the next episode of TED Excellence. And if that changes, I will let you know via Twitter. And if you'd like to follow me on Twitter, you can find my Twitter handle in the description below. And as well, if you'd like to hear more from me or Satsu 2 Cents, you can find the two of us tonight on probably Satsu's channel, because I think he's going to host tonight since I kind of, torpedoed his hosting last night because I had my migraine. So watch out for Satsu's channel tonight, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, for the Lords of the Night, where we'll talk about the news of the day, news stories you submit, what we've been up to on the internet, and then your questions and comments. Everyone, thank you so much for joining me. You guys really are the greatest audience in all of the world. I will sing your praises in a completely appropriate song. Moderators, thank you for keeping an eye on things, even though everyone here is so well behaved that the only things that end up getting yanked or those that YouTube deems so. And everyone who donated, thank you. Thank you so much for your generosity. I really do appreciate it. Everyone, again, thank you for joining me. I hope you are all safe and well. If you are not well, please get well soon, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.